Hi friends, it's Terry Gaines. In this video, I'm going to share 3 cards I created with the Cutest Cows Bundle, which is available on Stampin' Up's January through April 2024 mini catalog. This catalog goes live on January 4th. The bundle is bundled together for a 10% savings, or you can purchase the 2 separately. With the stamp set, you get 24 images. Some of the images can be cut out with a punch, and you've got some sentiments and just a lot of fun stamps to be creative with. My inspiration for these cards are from a card sketch. And I picked this card sketch because it has a decorative image that is right in the center along with some additional layers. The beauty of card sketches are they are a starting point. It's the inspiration for your creativity. The card base for a card sketch can be 4 1/4 by 11, scored and folded in half at 5 1/2, or it can be 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4 or folded in half. So you decide what your card base is going to be. I'm going to use the 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to be using basic white. For the first card that I'm going to use, I have a rectangle that I'm going to stamp on. I'm going to use Memento ink for my stamp ink because I'm going to be coloring in with the Stampin' Blends. I'm going to start out by putting a sentiment up in the top left corner. So I'm going to tap on my ink pad to get ink just on the surface of the stamp. And I'm stamping on my silicone craft mat to add a little bit of a cushion when I use the photopolymer stamps. So I'm going to first stamp the sentiment. Then I'm going to use the cow that is sitting down or laying down. I'm going to use this image. And then you choose which head you want on your cow. So I'm going to start out with the body of the cow. And I'm going to ink that up. And I'm going to stamp that first. And let's see, I'm just going to make sure I got plenty of ink on there. And the beauty of the photopolymer, you can see where you're stamping. So I've got that portion stamped. Now I'm going to use this cow head. Like I said, you got 3 to choose from. So I'm going to ink that up. Now what I'm going to do is use the outline of the body to stamp the head of the cow. Now I have that portion stamped, so I'm going to color in. The colors I've chosen is the Ivory Stampin' Blend. It comes with the Bronze Blend. I like using the brush tip. And I'm going to color in just a few things with this light color. I'm going to color in the horns. I'm going to color in this part. The beauty of the blends is they do such a beautiful job coloring in. There's no lines of where you overlap, and they are perfect for all your coloring projects. So the cow I'm going to color in with the light pecan blend, and also use the brush tip. The reason I like using the brush tip is you got such a nice tip on the end. You can get into the detail part of your images, but also you just want to barely touch your cardstock and the ink will flow out. If you have to press so hard that you're hearing a scratching sound, that means your blend is almost drying up. But if you're brand new blend and you're pushing as hard to hear it scratching, you're actually pushing too hard. Just barely touch the paper and your ink's going to flow out. That's going to keep your tip nice and in shape. It's not going to distort the tip of your blend. The blends come with a light and a dark color, and I'm using the light color for the main body of the cow. Now, for all the other parts of these projects, I have all the coloring in. For my videos, I like to do a lot of prep work, but also I want to show you how I do things too. So for this cow, I'm going to take the time to color it in. And I'm not doing any actual blending. I'm just coloring in kind of like a color book style where I'm using the blend just to color it in. Now I'm going to take the dark blend and I'm going to do all the details to the cow. So I'm going to do the spots, the top of the head, the tail, and as I mentioned, the spots. So just barely touch your paper and your ink's going to flow out, and that's going to preserve the tip of your brush tip. So I have all of this colored in. Now what I'm going to do is layer this onto a pecan pie coordinating cardstock. So I have this cut just an 1/8 of an inch bigger, so there's 1/16 of an inch border on all sides. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal to adhere this. I'm going to look at opposite corners, and then I can look at all 4 sides of each side of the corner to get that equally spaced. So that's going to be my image. My sentiment, I'm going to add this sentiment, which says, "It's your special day, milk it for all it's worth." How fun is that for a card? Then the card base, as I mentioned, is going to be basic white. We have a layer, the first layer is 4.5 by 4.5 by 3 3/4. I'm going to use Designer Series paper. It's part of the glorious gingham paper in the annual catalog. You get 5 different colors, and they're a small gingham on one side, a larger gingham on the other side. You get 8 each of these 5 colors, so you get 40 in the packet. And I've also added the pecan pie to the layer of that, to the back of that, for just a little bit added layering on this. I'm going to use my Stampin' Seal to adhere these together. I'm going to look at opposite corners. Then I'm going to make sure I have equal spacing on all 4 sides and adhere this. Now this layer is equal spacing on all 4 sides of my card base. So I'm going to put that down first. So I'm going to look at equal spacing on all 4 sides and adhere that. This layer that's in the darker color is 5.5 inches long by 1.5 wide. I've actually stamped that ahead of time. I used one of the stamps that has the 3 sunflowers, and I stamped it so you can see it actually goes off. The image is longer, and I just watched for the top and the side for my borders. I'm also going to layer this onto some pecan pie cardstock and use my Stampin' Seal to adhere this. And this length is the same, so I'm going to just use my fingers to line that up. Then I'm going to put adhesive on the back of this and put this across. It's centered in the card, so I'm going to center this like so. Now the beauty of card sketches, you can modify your layers. You can add as many layers as you want. You can change them to be different sizes. I'm going to now take this and put this on with some dimensionals. And the dimensionals are going to give the image some dimension. And I'll pop those up. And they're fairly strong, so you don't need a lot. Now this image is centered, so I'm going to center it between these 2 images, or the sunflowers. Now this sentiment is indicated to be across here, but you can actually put it anywhere on your card. I've already put some dimensionals, and I put it just on the edge here because I'm going to overlay it on here and 2 here. I am going to take and put some adhesive right across here, and we'll get these backings off. And make sure that adhesive is rolled underneath. And as I mentioned, I'm going to overlap that a little bit. What do I want to see on this side? I'm going to actually go right like this. So that's my first card. I just used stamps, paper, and inks and colored in with the blends. For my next card, I'm going to be, punching out the cow. So what I did ahead of time is I stamped the body. Now there's 2 different body of the cows, or 3. You got this one I just used. You got a image that's going this direction and an image going that direction. The one that's going to punch out is going to be the image going this direction. So I stamped that on a piece of scratch or cardstock. Then I've stamped these two images, both of them. I'm going to use one each for the next two cards. And now these can be punched out with a punch. So first you're going to stamp. You can color before or after you punch. So I'm going to line this up. Now you're going to look for equal spacing around all the images so you can get that punched out. So there's one for the second card. And I'm going to go ahead and punch this out for the third card. I've colored it in a little bit different. I have a black tail and an ivory tail for the third card. So the one with this face is going to be the one with the ivory tail. I'm going to put that up there. And then this one is going to be the one for the black tail. So you just line that up and punch that out. So now for the second card, I'm going to use this is the Lemon Lime Twist gingham paper. It's the same gingham paper, just a different color. So I use the pecan pie for the first one. I'm going to use this for the second, and then I'm going to use the blueberry bushel for the third card. So I already have that adhered, and I have the cow for the image. I have this holy cow image. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is for the image. This is for the sentiment. I'm going to put a black strip across here, but then I've also stamped. Now I made this narrower than 1.5 inches, but I've already stamped the grass, these images, and colored them in. Oops, I forgot to color this in. So I'm going to color in the centers of these with pumpkin pie. I've stamped or colored in the petals with a dark daffodil, and I've colored in these two with the daffodil. I used the melon mambo color. You could use real red pumpkin pie. So I've got those colored in. But what I would like to do is add some color to this, because I'm going to put my cow on here and I just want some color on this strip. So I'm going to use a blending brush and an ink pad. I'm going to use the Lemon Lime Twist ink pad. I'm going to take my blending brush. Now this is dedicated to green. I just put it in the ink pad, but I made sure there was no dark color green on here. I brushed that. I'm going to go in both directions in a circular fashion. I'm going to start down on the grass section of this, and I'm going to streak the ink across. So I'm going to go from the bottom to the top to add this ink. This is going to give me a light color of the Lemon Lime Twist, just to brighten up that white cardstock, and it's going to let the cow pop out a little bit more. So I stamped and colored in first, and then I added the ink with the blending brush. As I mentioned, the beauty of these are you can be creative, and let's make sure I got it all the way to that end and all the way to that end. So as I mentioned, it's an inspiration, a starting point for this. Now I am going to have a PDF, but before I go any further, my refill stopped. I knew that was going to happen, but I decided to let it happen on the video so I could show you how I do my refills. You can buy a refill. When you open it up, make sure you remove any buildup of adhesive on that part of the case. You throw this part away. Make sure there's no buildup of adhesive on your case. Open up your refill, and there are going to be open pieces here. That's where you put in this section. You put them right in those posts, close it up. Make sure with your finger it gets started again, and now you can continue. As I mentioned, or maybe I forgot to mention, I'm going to layer this onto basic black just to get a little bit of a pop out here. And I chose basic black because I have basic black, or the black ink. I'm going to put my adhesive on the back of this and put this across, centering it. Now I'm going to take the cow and I'm going to put dimensionals on the back of the cow, and here we go. So I'm going to just put 3 dimensionals on the back of the cow here. I'm not going to worry about the feet. I'm just going to put it behind the body, take the backings off. Now I'm going to position this first, and I'm going to position this so it's across the bottom here. Make sure I don't cover the chick up with the tail. Then I'm going to take and put 2 dimensionals towards the top. Leave this part open. And the reason I'm leaving that part open, that's going to allow me to place this head onto this body and not have a dimensional there that gets in the way. So there we have that. The sentiment is going to go on the bottom, not across the cow or the chick or the rooster, I guess. So I'm going to place this right here, and that is my second card. For my third card, I have the banner on, or these 2 layers on. I'm going to use this cow, and if I just put this cow right here, it kind of gets lost, or I wanted to add a little bit more, so I used a stylish shape dies and cut out a basic white banner to go across here, and then this banner go across here. Let's see, do I have those straight? And then I put the sentiment on the end of the banner. I'm going to put some adhesive here. I'm going to tuck it underneath this black layer. Let's see, there we go. That will be the sentiment. And then do the same thing. Excuse me. I'll put some dimensionals here. And this is going to be assembled the same way as the previous cow. I'm going to put some dimensionals on the body. Assemble this part first. Put dimensionals on just the top portion. And there we have our third card. I hope you enjoyed these card sketch images, or card sketch card sketch inspired cards. I do have a PDF that you can download from my blog. Look in the text portion of this video for a direct link to my blog post where you can download this PDF. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. Take care and happy creating.